Hope Channel, changing lives.
Welcome. My name is Evie and I welcome you to the studios of Hope TV Ghana once again. We are live here, coming your way with Real Talk, a show that is very relevant to the young adults because we discuss anything and everything that concerns them. And it is a very interactive show, and so we encourage you to leave your comments, your thoughts, and your opinions under our social media pages, which is Hope TV Ghana, on both YouTube and Facebook, and even Instagram. So what we do here is we have candid conversations. We talk about things that are important to the young adults. So we are talking about health, we are talking about relationships, we are talking about career, we are talking about diet, we are talking about money, finances, everything that you can think of. And it is our goal that by the end of every episode, we are able to find solutions to the problems that we get on our table. So one of the things that we encourage you out there to do is to send your story to us. Whatever it is you're going through, whatever it is that you are concerned about, just send it to us to our WhatsApp number or our email address. You can even enter, someone would say, slide into our DMs and let us know exactly what it is you're going through. And if you do not want to be identified, if you want to go on the ticket of being anonymous, that is completely fine. Most of the stories that we get here, we don't even discuss people's personal details. We just share the story, find you the right people, and then we have the right conversation. And that is exactly what we are going to do today. You know, when we talk about in-law relationships, especially in the part of our world, Africa, specifically Ghana, it is one of the most important relationships that you can nurture, because in this part of the world, we say we do not marry an individual, we marry the entire family. So obviously, the parents of your spouse are very important to you, and we consider them as our parents. And you will be one of the lucky people if you have such a great relationship with your in-laws. And you'll be one of the most unlucky person if you find yourself in a relationship with an in-law that doesn't appreciate you or vice versa. And today we are going to talk about living with in-laws, one of the tricky and dicey living arrangements one can ever make in their life. And we're going to discuss how that affects marriage, and we're going to look at if it is the right decision to ever live with your in-laws and situations that make that the choice to make or not. And so we have found you the right panelists to have the right conversation. My name is Evie. Obviously, I will be hosting the show today as always. And before I introduce my panelists to you, I want to remind you that you can also be an angel of hope by dialing *928 *34 *104# and follow the prompts. You can also send your donations to Hope Ghana, that is Hope Channel, at 0249193083, and automatically you become an angel of hope. And you know what angels do? They make our lives easier. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce my panelists to you, and I am going to share the story with you as well. So I have two people joining me in the studio and two people joining me virtually, and we are going to have the conversation. In the studio with me is no stranger, Pastor Dr. Josiah. He'll tell me not to use all his titles as always. Josiah Andor is here. How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Before I said that, I knew that was going to come, but I had to be mischievous anyway. How is the week?
Well, so far so good.
Yeah.
We're in the middle.
Yeah,
we'll
Wednesday.
finish it.
Yeah, we will. We will, absolutely. I know you have a busy schedule, so I'm always grateful when you make time to come on the show. Thank you so much. And Mrs. Josephine Owusu AJ. Just why are you laughing?
Nothing.
You know it's something. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
How has the week been?
Oh, very, very busy.
I can imagine resuming, going back to work, and these teenagers that I don't know how you do it, Josephine, because I see you and you're so tiny, and I wonder how you command such respect over. Do you know Josephine is actually a senior high school teacher?
Oh, I see.
So her job, I always ask her, like, how? Because she looks like a teenager herself, so I don't know how she goes about telling the teenagers what to
Well,
do.
I think it's, I mean, that makes it better. They want somebody they can relate with.
Right,
So I
right,
think she
right. I think
should
you're
be
doing
able.
a fantastic job. Thank you for that. You're welcome. So joining me virtually, I have two beautiful women. I'll start with Mrs. Priscilla Berko. Priscilla, how are you doing?
I'm doing great.
How has the
And how are
week
you
been?
doing as well?
I'm fine. I'm fine. How has the week been? Everybody, where you are, you know, the Ghanaian church, everything. How are you guys doing?
Well, it's great, you know. It's normal as usual. I mean, normal things.
Right.
Where taking care of kids and then making sure everything is going on. So it's
Yeah.
normal. We
Yeah.
can't complain.
We
thank
can't
God.
complain, absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us today. The next
You're
and
welcome.
definitely not the least, Gifty Asamoah is joining me as well. Gifty, how are you doing and how has your week been?
Oh, I am great. God has been good to us. We are all fine. And the week is also good.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining. So I'm going to read the story which we have titled, I Don't Want to Be Used as a Slave in My In-Laws' House. That is quite a descriptive word to use, slave. And so she says, Dear Real Talk, my husband and I are at loggerheads and there's no peace at home. We are disagreeing on how to move forward from this situation. We've been married for 4 years with 2 children. Before marriage, he wanted me to stay in his parents' home, since they live in a 5-bedroom house with his younger sister. I vehemently refused and I told him I wouldn't marry him and live in a family home. He saw how serious I was because I was ready to walk away from the relationship. So he went ahead to rent a 2-bedroom house for us to stay in. 4 years down the line, he wants us to move back into his parents' house again because rent has become very expensive and he wants to use the money we saved to start a business while we stay with his parents and younger sister. I genuinely do not want to go and stay. Okay, so she goes on to say, my husband is refusing to understand and saying he will talk to, I beg your pardon, I'm taking this slide again. I genuinely do not want to go and stay with my in-laws because I don't want my children and I to be treated badly there. I lived with them when I had my children. My mother is deceased and I didn't like how I was treated. As a new mother, I was made to clean bathrooms and sweep the house, as well as cook for the entire house. His sister did virtually nothing. And it wasn't as if I was cleaning only the room I stayed in. I was cleaning my parents' in-laws' rooms and bathrooms, as well as the hall, kitchen, and compound. After my last child, I swore never to go there again because I know how I will be treated. My husband is refusing to understand and saying he will talk to his parents. This will not solve anything. I think it will even make them dislike me the more. I want my own space and freedom. I don't want to be living like a maid in his parents' house. I do understand that things are extremely difficult for us now, but I would rather he use the saved money to renew our rent than make us go live with his parents. My surviving parent isn't in Accra, so moving there is out of the question. My husband is not listening to me. I saved some of the money, and with his attitude, I will be forced to take my part and rent a place for my children and I. Am I being unreasonable? What do I do? How can this issue be solved amicably? In-law problems here and there. I mean, this is not the first time you are discussing in-law problems on Real Talk. You've had people coming in talking about refusing to move in with their husbands after marriage to live with their in-laws and just looking at the dynamics. But, Pastor, what's going through your mind?
Well, yeah, in-law problems are real, and that's why we are discussing that on Real Talk.
Yeah.
When I first read the story, I saw a man who has always wanted this to happen. Mm-hmm. The only reason he rented a 2-bed apartment was because she said she didn't like it, and he wanted to get married, so he had to do it.
Okay.
Now he wants to go back to that. I see a man who is already in talks with his parents about this. Because he can't suggest it before discussing with them. So they already know. And so if she refuses, he has to go back and tell them a reason for which they are not moving in. And there's a lady who has made her mind that I am not doing it.
Yes.
So we have two extreme stances.
Right.
And that is a difficult place to reach reconciliation. Because everybody has made the mind on this.
Yeah.
And so that is where we are.
It reminds me of the verse that says, unless two agree, can they walk
They
together?
can walk together.
Just what's going
Amos
through your mind?
3:3.
Yes. What's going through your mind, Josephine?
In-law problems.
I know.
Okay, so when I read the story, a lot of questions came to mind.
Right.
A lot of questions came to mind. I just didn't understand why someone who is married with a wife for some years with 2 kids and wants to go back to stay with parents because he wants to use the money for a business. So a lot of things came to mind. But I think it might be that he had already discussed with his parents before because he can't just troop in just like that I want my wife and I and the kids to come and stay with you. It might be he had already discussed. Sometimes too, some parents too would like the son and the whole family to come and join them. Yes, some parents also like that. So I think we won't talk much since this is just the preface.
Yes.
By the end of the discussion, we will delve into it and get to know what we are supposed to say.
Right, exactly. Gifty, coming to you, what is going through your mind? I mean, as a married woman, and funny enough, all the women on today's show are married, so they would have first-hand information as to how they feel when it comes to living with in-laws. As a married woman living with your husband, and now you have to go and live with your in-laws, what's going through your mind? What is your general take on the story?
Obviously, you see competition. First of all, I greet everybody, all your fans, everybody watching us.
Right.
And I see competition. Yes, a struggle and a competition. Just that you see a woman struggling for her position in the marriage. You see a man struggling to have his decisions stand.
Yeah.
And I want that we are struggling with this. Instead of in-laws, I rather see the couple struggling, even though it has to do with in-law. Yes.
Yeah, you see the couple struggling because obviously if they have an understanding, this will not be a topic for discussion anyways. Yeah, Priscilla, what's going through your mind? What's happening? Yeah.
Okay, so my take on this, I mean, reading the story, I saw I saw a woman, a married woman, who is just trying. Perhaps she has some kind of experience. Maybe she has seen other couple, stay in their parents' home, and then she knows some consequences that goes with it. And from the story, she has also, stayed in the house a little bit, and then according to her, she was maltreated, and that she's like, no way anymore. So, well, I think marriage, she's thinking about how marriage was supposed to be. Like the Bible said, a man will leave his parents and then cleave with the wife, and then they can become one. She's trying to be somebody who is independent and have her privacy. So that's what I see.
Right. It's rather interesting. Almost everyone started their thoughts with
except me.
Yes. Well, it's the women, we are the ones having to go and live with our in-laws, so we have the going on. But coming to you, Counselor, I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of people who are facing this trouble.
Yes, sure.
It's not even a new topic for you.
At all.
Yes. And let's discuss living with in-laws. Is it advisable? What are some of the challenges you can face if your husband decides that oh, let's go and live with my in-laws.
All right.
We do have husbands who end up living with their...
Exactly.
Yeah, we do have that.
Exactly.
Let's not forget it.
All right.
Yeah, so that's in general. What is your take on that? Is that
Yeah,
advisable?
so the advisable, I will not be able to tell, but all I will say is that ideally, marriage should begin on the note of living. That's what the Bible says. Wherefore shall a man leave father and mother and cleave to the wife. So marriage should begin on the note of living. But this living is not necessarily physical only. It's also emotional. It's mental. In other words, you need to be independent.
Okay.
So that is why children don't marry. It is adults that marry. You should be old enough to be on your own. You have to get off sucking breast. You need to be weaned from your parents in all aspects. Then the two of you will be one.
Yeah.
Now, where you will live physically should not matter if you live properly. I mean, if you have left, you can be living in the same compound, but you are independent. And if that is properly done, nobody will say, is it advisable, it's not advisable, because you've actually left. And so you are living on the same compound, but you are a family, a unit on your own, and your father and his wife, or your mother and her husband, are also a unit on its own. That can happen. But where you do not handle the mental and emotional living well, even if you live separately, parents still have an influence on that marriage.
Right.
And it is still a problem. So the underlying issue is you should begin your marriage by living. But after living, then we now think of the physical space.
Right.
The physical space, ideally, once you live mentally, emotionally, then you should also live physically. In other words, you should go and establish your own home and be together. One question I ask couples when they are about to get married is, where will you live? I want to know where you will live, what plans you have. If the answer is you will live with your parents, then we'll now start exploring the possible ways in which you are going to do that kind of living. Are you going to live are you going to use the Indian style? Now, in the Indian culture, for example, a woman is married into the family and she becomes a wife to the whole family. She does the things that our lady is describing. And their culture kind of accepts it. So it is fine. In our system, it is not that way. Even in the places where we practice the extended family, where you go and you marry, you are there, your brother marries, and we are all there, there is that kind of respect of the sovereignty of each family.
Yeah.
And that is important. But where you go to live with in-laws and you are turned into the slave of the home, it becomes a problem. That is what will make a woman begin answering this question with, And so for me, when dealing with living with in-laws, I will say that it is not the ideal. However, we don't condemn every family or any married couple who are living with in-laws, because somebody may be living that way and will be happy in that kind of situation, depending on the kind of in-laws, depending on what exactly happens within the home. Right. But in the current story, I wouldn't advise my wife to live in that kind of home. I wouldn't advise my sister to live in that kind of home, or my church member to live in that kind of home.
Absolutely, or your church member. But Josephine, this in-law living thing, I mean, you hear stories. Hey, the stories that you hear. Do you think it is advisable, a man getting married and then saying, oh, let's go and live with my mother and father? He said it's a 5-bedroom house, so you're thinking, oh, there will be some sort of space. But now this is a situation where she's been there before as a mother, a new mother, and she went through all that. What is your take on that, and what are some of the challenges? If you do decide that, okay, I'll go, what are some of the challenges that one can face?
Okay. Going to stay with in-laws, it depends. It depends, but there are a lot of challenges people face. I've heard a lot, I've seen a lot from friends who are living in their in-laws' houses, the kind of challenges they face. And some too, they don't really face challenges, depending on the kind of in-laws you get. As earlier on, as Pastor said. Okay, so if you decide, the first question is it advisable to go? Me personally, it's not advisable to be there. Okay. Because I prefer that you should have a kind of privacy. For ladies, we like privacy.
Absolutely.
Okay. We should enjoy a maximum amount of privacy because you are married and now you are learning to bond with your husband, your spouse. Okay. And this is the case that you are living with other people, even if it's the same compound but different apartments. They are still there. It's the same compound. Some would say that, oh, you have your own kitchen, you have everything on your own. But it's the same house, the same compound. How would it be? Sometimes they'll come, the in-laws still feel that they have some kind of domineering or controlling power over you. Just because you are staying in the house, in the same compound, even though you are independent, you are financially sound, you don't go there to beg from anywhere, but they feel that you are still there. And some too, they feel that you are kids and they've taken you to come and stay with them. So they still feel that they have some kind of rules and regulations you're supposed to go by, supposed to follow, even though you are independent.
They'll close the gates by 7
by
p.m.
7 and to 8 p.m. Please, you are closing the gates. What will you do? you
jump
go to Real Talk Show with your husband. By the time you come, it's locked. Hey, you people, you like going out at night, oh, please. In a house, we don't do that.
True, I've heard
what will you do?
Like that. Yeah,
okay, true. So me personally, I will never opt for a woman to go for such a house with in-laws. Even if the in-laws beg and try to help me with everything, I'll say no. Because I want a peace of mind with my husband, okay? And the challenges they go through, some you will not get privacy. When you are there, please, it's morning, you are still sleeping. Can you come and sweep the compound for us? Please, can you come and cook for us? Our food is finished, though. Please, the bathroom, we want you to come and scrub ours for us too. What will you do? You are in the same compound with the person. For the man will always feel comfortable, because it's his parents. Yeah. And the man will not do these household chores, but you, the lady, you'll be doing it. So you can't say. So the lack of privacy will be there. And two, financially, are you going to support your in-laws financially for the upkeep of the house when you're going to buy foodstuffs or toiletries or anything? What will you do? Are you going to contribute at the end of the month when you get your salary? Are you going to support them so that they'll also help you out? Or how would you contribute? Because if you are with your husband alone and the kids, and if you're a salary worker, at the end of the month, you all contribute. You do everything together, and you buy some toiletries and everything. But in this case, you are staying with the in-laws. How are you going to do it? When you are cooking, are you going to cook for your husband and the kids alone, or the whole family? How are you going to do it? These are all challenges that would come up if you are a lady. For the man, he doesn't do that. He wakes up early in the morning, goes to work, come at late. You, the lady, you go and come back early and come and prepare food. So the lady will never feel comfortable in that situation. So personally, I will never advise that. And these are some of the challenges that you face as a lady. Right,
absolutely. I completely understand where you're coming from, Josephine. And I'm coming to you, Gifty. Living with in-laws, do you think it's advisable? I don't know if you have any more challenges to add to what Josephine has clearly outlined. But my main question to you would have to be the man's decision to just go ahead and move his family. You know, that's what he wanted to do from the beginning. The wife said no. At that moment, he saw that if he doesn't, she will leave. She will not marry him. Now she's sort of, someone would say, sort of stuck with 2 children. Where are you going? So he brings the option up again to say, well, you also know things are being difficult. And the funny thing is, he has a legit reason. It's not as if he's saying, oh, let's go and live with our parents because I feel like. The woman even acknowledges that it is expensive to rent, but they do have some money. It's either they are using the money for business or renewing rent. But what is your take on that? You know, is that a good move? Is it something you would encourage, or in your opinion, it's a no-go area?
Thank you. Under normal circumstance, everybody wants to have our independence. We know, basically, even a child will be able to tell you that we need our privacy to develop our intimacy as a couple. And so if we have the chance to live alone, just as we've clearly stated and quoted even the Bible, that's perfect. It is always better to live in a single room with your kids, eating whatever, than to have interferences. Everybody knows that. However, situations happen. Life is not a straight line. You know. You see clearly that from the beginning, the man had suggested that, probably based on something, or better still, he just wants to live with the parents and save money, which might be to the disadvantage of the couple or the wife. But there is, as you said, a very legitimate reason they gave. The woman admitted herself and didn't just say things are difficult. She said extremely difficult. So for someone to admit to extreme, that means the thing has gone a little further than people or we can think of or say. And so as much as it is not convenient to live with your in-laws, there are situations that force people to do that, which might have a time limit. And so we can say that, no, we are not supposed to be living with our parents. Culturally, it is not wrong. It is not wrong in our culture as Africans to live with our in-laws, especially in our husband's family houses. It is not wrong culturally, but we all can outline a number of things that hurt in doing that. You can have your independence, no intimacy, everybody intrudes, decisions are not from you, people get to know your shortcomings and then capitalize on them. And in fact, in short, familiarity breeds contempt. We all know that. But let's be circumspect when we are dealing with issues like that. Because somebody might find themselves in a situation, and everything we are discussing here, I think, is based on the first one I said, competition. The second I would want to address is perception. This is the problem. We have the perception from our parents, especially the mother-in-laws, thinking that I'm going to lose my son to a woman. Here is a boy I have groomed, I have taken care of financially, and he's the eldest or something, and all of a sudden they need to take care of the other kids. And then he's going to push all the money to another woman and their family. A perception that this tribe, the kind of women, oh, this is going to be like this. And so before even they meet their daughter-in-laws, they are angry because they are fighting within. There's a battle. The same thing on the streets, just as we are discussing. Everybody says that mother-in-laws. We say and we sigh. That alone tells a lot. And so we also have the perception. So we have the bulletproof already. If your mother-in-law does this, this is what you have to do. You can't use me as a slave. And so even if we are supposed to serve genuinely, things our parents would do and there wouldn't be any problem would be a problem because they are not considered as family as we are supposed to take them. When we are supposed to understand them, we don't do that because of the perception. The tribe, the woman wants to, the priority, who is the first? priority. I should be the I should be special. I should be, yes. So the Bible said the man will leave, and we just looked at it from the physical aspect of it, emotional and all that. So does it mean emotional? So they cut ties completely. So you look for priority. Okay, I come first before. Why do we even have to struggle for the positions? So all of these things build up, and the perception brings that competition. So already the woman had definitely an experience, whether external or whatever, a perception drawn from that experience she might have had, or what she had learned from church, from the social, a lot of places. So we have knowledge about it, and had inherited other people's, I keep saying this, other people's bitterness, and have the perception based on that. So before they come, even before they are introduced to the home, we already know how to fight the battle. So this is how the combats begin. Then
Right.
it goes on and on. I think that the problem here, we can be circumspect based on a situation on the ground. Extreme difficulty can be managed. If we can, we should. If we cannot, there's something I can do, you cannot do, depending on your
Gifty,
strength.
I think you're getting to the last point of the question. I'll come to you as to what they should do and if this can be solved amicably. But before that, let me take Priscilla's comments on the husband's decision to move his family back into his parents' house, you know. Priscilla, in your opinion, do you think that that's a good move considering the circumstances? Should he rent or use the money for business, as he is saying? Is that where you are leaning towards? Or you're with Josephine and Gifty as well, that it's a bit dicey to just move your family to your parents' house?
Thank you. Thank you. And with some perspectives to consider regarding the man's decision to move his family to live with his parents. Whether it's good or bad, I think it depends on several factors and specific circumstances that is involved. I can see the family struggling with finances. So I think one of the man's reason for moving the family to the parents' house is financial consideration. They are thinking of the benefits of living, how they can reduce expenses, and then take other responsibilities. I also see maybe the man is trying to find support and you know, so he wants to grow his business. So he wants support network, and then let's say to continue his business aspiration. So he feels like, oh, mom is there, dad is there, they can help us take care of the kids, and then we can go work or something. And then also perhaps he has he thinks he's coming from a good home, he has a good family dynamics where maybe the kids can learn a lot of things from the parents and all that. That's his reason, and they are good as well, because I mean they can help the family develop in a certain way. But other things, they can also have challenging situations depending on the factors as well. It can be a lot. So like I heard my colleague said earlier, there can be the duties in their home. You see, as some things that the man is not supposed to do. The husband, he's supposed to act as a husband, but he's staying with the parents. So, you know, he'll be taking up certain duties that he's not supposed to do because it's his mom. And then the family too, the mom and the dad can talk to their son anyhow they want in presence of the wife, because they see him as their child, still their child. And so there will not be the kids, you know, the kids will see grandparents and they don't know how to call their mothers, because they'll be like, oh, the grandma will be calling you Priscilla and all that, and then you see your children, all of them calling you Priscilla. Maybe you want your children to call you mommy, or that, but you might lose that opportunity. And fine, if the husband wants to take they doesn't want to take the family to their parents' home. I mean, I think it has to be under careful consideration. Like I'm saying, you have to think about all these things. And the food aspect as to, are we cooking together? One time the man will be like, oh, today I feel like eating my mommy's food. And then the wife will be jealous and all that. So it can be situational, but it depends on a careful conversation.
Absolutely, absolutely. And before we go on the break, Pastor, I'm coming to you and I'm going to pick your mind on, obviously, I don't know if you have more to add to the challenges, but, you know, man is supposed to lead his family and the family is supposed to follow his leadership. But now he's in a house where his authority is second because his father is the leader of that home. And so there will be questions on which direction are the family going to follow. Let's say if the man wants to do family devotion every morning with his family, and father-in-law probably wants them to do something else that morning, whose direction are they going to follow? Is the man going to lose his sense of authority as the husband or the father in his home, as he's obviously gone for this move? And then I want you to talk about his decision to go and use the money for business instead of renting.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, a lot of questions. But
yes.
earlier on, we're talking about challenges.
Yes.
No, there are quite a number. Living with family or living with parents-in-law will affect your parenting. How you take care of the kids.
Yeah.
It will definitely affect them because you will not be able to do it the way you would have done it.
Absolutely.
Some of the things that you probably wouldn't do to your children, you probably wouldn't want your children to see. They might see it because another group of people are living there. It will affect your marriage, I mean, generally. I mean, for example, this is a very young marriage, 4 years.
Yeah.
They haven't explored sexuality enough. And so, living in my father's house, how can we try the hall and the kitchen and how can we try all those?
And
we need to be alone so that we try all that and have enough. You know, so it affects the family in all these ways. And we can go on and on and on and talk about all those other challenges. His decision to do this, for me, I would always say that once you are married, you do not have a decision. It should always be our decision. Husband and wife will need to agree together to do what they want to do, not one person deciding that this is what I want to do. Now, if it comes to your mind, you need to discuss it, and then the two of you should take each other's thoughts and then come to a conclusion. Now, let me take the stance of the wife. So I'm the wife, and then my husband comes to tell me, this is what I want to do. I will listen to it. He has a reason. The reason is that we are in financial difficulty.
Yeah.
The options do not include only moving to be with. I think that should even be last resort. There are so many other options. Have they considered changing a location? Have they considered changing the type of apartment? All these should come in.
Yeah.
So that if all these other options fail, then we cannot think of the last resort when we are down to zero. But obviously from the story, they are not down to zero. The lady mentioned that she says she also has part in the contribution. And she, from what she's saying, even taking away only that part can rent for herself and the children. Can't the man live in that place where she's renting for herself and the children? So this is obviously not the last resort. And so, assuming I have this couple in front of me, the options are clear that they will be having more options than only going to live with and I would say that if you want to invest in business, it doesn't have to compromise another part of the family to invest in the business. Investing in business is good, but looking at the money that they are talking about, if the woman is saying her contribution can rent for herself and the kids, then the contribution of the two of them should be able to rent for all of them, and some should be left to even start a business.
A business.
Yes.
Right. Absolutely. Josephine, it's quite a tricky situation because you can see that the woman is not speaking from, oh, they say in-laws are bad, oh, they say in-laws are wicked. She's speaking from experience. I went to live with them twice. First when I had my first child, and then my second child. This and this and this and this are what they put me through. And so me, I don't want to go again. And she's communicated that to her husband. And he says, oh, I'll talk to them. Imagine you going to his parents to go and say, hey, my wife says when she came here, and then they go and live there. Does he think that they are going to have a nice relationship with the wife? No. They would think the wife has gone to report them to her husband to come and blast them. So the man's decision as to, you know, using the money, do you think he should put that in the business, or you think, as Pastor is saying, you should go and rent? And also, I want you to speak on, in the unlikely and unadvisable situation where you end up living with in-laws, how can in-laws be accommodated? We want to hear more stories on, oh, I've lived with my in-laws for 5 years and I won't trade it for anything. What can we tell in-laws? And yes, father-in-laws can be issue, but if we'll be very honest, the issue is always with the mother-in-laws that are pulling the strings here and there. The clash is always between your wife and your mother. The father-in-laws don't care. They say, oh, my daughter, how are you?
I am quiet on this one.
I mean, we are shaking the table. We are shaking the table today. But that's it. And it's so sad because the woman is the one complaining, and you grow up and let's say you are not a nice mother-in-law. But you didn't wish for that to have been done to you when you were married to somebody. But how can, you know, parents not be accommodating to their children? And as to whether the man should just go and rent or he should use the money for business. Business, maybe you get triple.
Okay. Yeah. Business is risky. Okay, although everything is risky, but business is also risky. He doesn't know what he's going to reap unless you have invested.
Right.
Okay. So I think that it's not best that he uses the money for business. He should set up with the wife. If the wife would be able to support him with the money, she said she would use it to rent for herself and the kids. They can support each other and then rent a place which is affordable, and then maybe they can even get some remains for the business. Okay, that would be an option. Okay, if where they are staying is too expensive, and then they can go for a lesser paid, like a lesser place that is not that much expensive, that they can afford to, and then get some money for the business. That too is an option.
Right.
So that as they stay there, they've invested their money somewhere, and they think that definitely they can reap, because if the business is the main source of income for the husband, that one it wasn't stated. But if it is a side business, we all do side businesses to support our mainstreams. That one, it's not a must that you should still put every money that you have into the business, if it is a side business. But if it is the main source of income for the family, I think the lady can use her money to support the husband, rent a place, and then they manage till they become financially stable.
Right.
To stay in a better place that they want to be.
Yeah.
And the second question is how accommodating the in-laws can be. I feel that in-laws are supposed to be like our parents.
Yeah.
Okay, they're supposed to be our parents. As they have their own kids getting married to us, they should also adopt us as their own kids.
Yes.
Okay, and treat them very well. If you treat us well, I think if every in-law is very accommodating, they'll also be fine. Their wives or their husbands in their family would be okay, and they'll be happy. But in a case that you see that, especially with women, we compete. Yes, we compete with, we want some kind of, like some women, they feel that if their sons are getting married to someone, they don't feel okay, because it's like, you are spending, they feel that the woman is spending every money that the son is supposed to give to their mother. Okay. So whenever
who said children should spend on their parents?
Whenever they see, whenever they see something, they feel that, oh, you see. Maybe you also work and you've gotten your money, you've used the money for everything that you have.
Yeah.
But whenever they see something in a traditional setting, we feel that the husband is the one taking care of everything about the woman. So even if you are using your own money for something, some other in-law says that the son is not taking good care of her, and then he's taking good care of
but
the wife.
She has her own husband.
Oh,
yes, and even when the mother has, she has a husband.
Yeah.
But they still want to accommodate their son and the husband at the same time. Yes, having two people at the same time because they don't feel comfortable where their son is going. But they forget that they are also married to someone's son. Okay, so they are supposed to be very accommodating to the people who are getting married to their son.
I completely agree with you. It's so funny how time is going fast. I want to read comments, then we'll look at how they can solve this. Clement says, this is disturbing but not limited to solutions. Everything is about dialogue. If the parents of your husband do not like you, they wouldn't allow for that marriage. I think there's something you are hiding, or perhaps the family of the husband. Mami Ajwa says, if you can help him pay for the rent while he starts his business, it will help. If you can afford to rent for yourself and the children, why don't you do for both? It shouldn't be that the payment must come from him when you know he can't afford. Also, you guys can move to Chamber and Hall to reduce the rent. As for living with your in-laws, don't do it. So her money is part of the saved money. So if she can afford, she's going to take it from the saved money. It's not like she has money on her own somewhere. So in other words, for the man, before the man can even go ahead and use the money for business, she has to consent to it because
it is their money.
The
idea is that they have their money.
Yes.
Now,
it's for the two.
They are saving.
Yes.
Apparently, they do not know what they are saving for.
The woman said it was for rent. They are supposed to renew rent.
No, not necessarily. They are saving.
Yeah.
And he thinks that times are hard.
Okay.
So let's not use this savings to rent. Rather, let's use it for business.
Yeah.
And go for an alternative.
Yeah, which is to live with
And that alternative is not helping.
Yeah.
I mean, she has good reasons for
Absolutely.
which she wouldn't want to. You were asking earlier about, I'm sneaking to answer this way. You were asking earlier about how parents-in-law should.
Yeah,
for me, once your child is married, respect your child's autonomy. Respect your child's spouse. The person is old. That was why he got married. That person is no more your child. They are on their own. Whatever they want to do, let them do on their own. If they decide to come and live with you, they are coming to live with you on their own. They are not coming to live with you as you being, the boss.
Yeah.
You had asked an earlier question which I failed to answer about who is the head.
Yeah.
When they go to live there, we are having two families.
Yes, and two heads.
We should have two different families, two different heads. That's if it is possible that way, then, but if it isn't so, that is where we have the kind of problems that we have. So that if she goes to help her mother-in-law to clean their bathroom, she's doing it because she wants to, not because she has to.
She has to, absolutely.
She's an old woman, grown enough, married and living her life. And our parents-in-laws should respect us in that way.
Exactly. William says, just support him with the rent so he can proceed with his business. If he uses the business money to rent, he'll be building, you go chop. So I suggest that you give him a helping hand so you wouldn't extend your hardship. Don't make that mistake by moving to your in-laws' place. You will literally reduce your lifespan. Priscilla Educhumwa says, in this case, the man has already made his plan. So my sister, pray and tell him you will help him with the rent because staying with your in-laws is very dangerous. I think people are missing the part that the money that they are talking about is the only money they are deciding on what to use for. She doesn't have money hiding somewhere and she's refusing not to rent. It's from that same money. And Masari says, don't go and stay with the in-laws. The husband should understand if he truly loves you and wants a private life. Okay, I'll try and read a few more. But before, I want to ask, Gifty, can this issue be solved amicably? You know, is there a way they can solve this amicably where the woman is not feeling resentful, because she already says my husband is not understanding. She feels her husband is refusing to get where she's coming from. And probably the man too is thinking, you can see things are hard. Let's turn this money around and make some extra money. And what is the guarantee that when they do move in, even if he comes with, he didn't even come with, oh, give me a year, let's stay there. He seems not to have like a definite plan. So what is to say that when they go and live there, he doesn't want to move again? What would they do? But how can they solve this amicably? What are the ways they can go about this? Yeah, Gifty, can you hear me? Okay, Gifty is frozen. I don't know what's going on with her network. I'll come back to you, Gifty. Let me ask this for Priscilla. Yeah, Priscilla, what is your opinion on solving this amicably? How can they do it?
Okay, hello. Hello.
Yeah, Gifty, can you
here.
hear me? Yeah,
Hi.
yeah.
I went off a little, so
Yeah.
I think the network didn't help. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So can this issue be solved amicably? And I'll say yes.
Okay.
You know, the whole thing, we have been talking about it. Probably the communication skill has to change. It has to change, yes. So if I want to be angry and say, no, this one, I'm not going to do it. And that's how it's supposed to be, right? We all have our resentments. We share them. Husband who wants to maintain on his ground, we will fight back and forth and there will not be solution. So that's why sometimes we need to be smart and soft. Change the method. If you are using it, you are always bringing it aggressively, change it. Go soft this way. Sometimes they need a little education. I'm sorry, they are grown. Our husbands are grown. But sometimes they still need to understand us from our point of view. So go to that soft part you have on him. Use it. Talk about it. Let him understand. Tell him why and the things, and not necessarily my brains yet. But it's not even good for us. It's not healthy for our kids. Intimacy. In fact, sometimes couples need a lot of exploration, you know. Antics in the marriage, I have to turn, you have to notice me and all that. A few things cannot be done. And then the spices of the marriage will go down and things will not. So it's not good for us. Let him understand from this objective points. And then if he still doesn't want to agree with you, want to understand, having done that, then you might need a professional counselor. Before you go to a professional counselor, you should know that you have taught him using another kind of communication, a softer one or a different one you haven't been using, to school him to understand you from your point of view and not necessarily fight over it. Let's consider if there are options. Are there alternatives? Can we change locations? If we change, can we rent a lesser? I mean, we can do that. All those and
yeah.
Sure, that is our last resort. We might have a mainstream job, so we don't need too much to spend here. Okay, if it's the main we are all using. Now, if we rent with that, what do we eat? And our kids, how do we go from there? How much would we need for the business? Let's all do that. But he should first understand that we need to be alone. Interferences will not be healthy for our relationship.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm so sorry to be rushing you, but my time is so fast spent. So Priscilla, quickly, how do you think they can solve this amicably? Your final words on this topic.
Right, so for me, solution to the problem is always the root cause, right?
Yeah.
What is causing their issue is actually money or job. We can see the woman trying to say that the only money they have is what they can use for business or for rent. So here it's a critical issue. The couple have to talk about it. I mean, set their goals, set their priorities, because this decision is dependent on the marriage. For me, Pastor said something earlier. Sometimes you can be living with your parents, but you can be independent, depending on how it is. You can have your small private place, you can have your kitchen or somewhere. Worst case scenario, like Evie said, the man is the head of the family. If he insists, I want to use the money for business, and you know he has a great business idea, and the business can flourish within a limited time, a short time. You can decide to, I mean, set goals as to how long you want to stay in the house. Be in your own corner. I mean, you have your own kitchen. You come to your in-laws' quarters if you want to. And so it's not like, because people live, I know people who live with their in-laws and they are happy. Living with your in-laws doesn't mean, I mean, your life is going to be rough, or things are not going to go well with you. Yeah. No. We can live there independently, and then you set your goals and priorities. You set time that you'll be leaving the house. Maybe 2-3 years you are out. And then the most important thing is to now check your finances. Check your financial situation. Try to live with your means.
Right.
Cutting coats are according to your sizes, and all that. You know, women, we are extravagant, senselessly extravagant sometimes.
Sometimes.
Our buying. I mean, make sure we live within their means, and then put our finances in place, and then things will work out for us.
Absolutely.
So that's what I would.
Mrs. Ajay, quickly, very, very fast, your final words for this couple.
Okay, I think they can just have a conversation. Talk about the challenge that they have now. It's a financial challenge. With the business, I feel that they can put it on hold and then rent. Okay, the woman should support the man if she can. If she has the money available, she should support the husband. It's not wrong to support your husband to rent.
Right.
So if she has the money available, she should support him to rent a place. And then as they are there, they can get some of the money to do the business as well. Yeah. Thinking about the location, if they can change the location to get a place that is less expensive, so that they can use some of the money for the rent and the business as well. And then she should, as now the finances too is also down, she shouldn't do anything that would be beyond their means. They should live within their means and cut a lot of things down. They should focus on their needs than their wants, and everything will be fine. Absolutely. Than to move to the in-laws house. That one, I would never support.
Even if you tie my neck, I would say no.
Well, they've said that the roots of it is money. I think the root in this case is selfishness. Both the man and the woman are being selfish. And that is why we are where we are. I say so because in marriage, the most important thing to consider is the marriage than to consider self. So the man is looking at himself, the woman is looking at herself. And when two couples approach an issue from that perspective, we never get a solution. But if the two should approach the issue on the basis of we want what will help us, what will help our marriage, each one of them will put aside their selfish desires, and they can do the dialogue that my colleagues are suggesting. Yeah. So take away the self, think of the marriage, sit down and dialogue. Yeah. And then you'll be able to help yourself.
You'll be able to help yourself. I completely agree. And from all the discussion, I just want to put this out there that we are not saying all parents-in-laws are wicked or difficult to live with. We have success stories. I have amazing parents-in-laws. I'll sit anywhere and say my mother-in-law is the best. I won't even mince words. Granted, I don't live with her, but I would say that she's an amazing person, and I'm sure we all do. And so it's just like, I think Gifty is the one that said familiarity sometimes can breed contempt. They will probably get familiar with you and be asking things of you that sometimes you may just not be in the mood to do. And that's from the story, she has a daughter who is doing nothing, and she puts all the work on her daughter-in-law who just has a baby. You can see that it just was not in the lady's best interest. They were not treating her as they would a daughter. And with parents-in-laws, if my mother asks me to do something, I am telling you, if I don't want to do it, I can tell my mother I don't want to do it. The most she will do is insult me, but I'll still not do it and go and sleep. But when it comes to my mother-in-law, I can't really be that comfortable to say, you know, I can't do it. So you end up doing things that you don't even want to do, and that's where the friction comes in. But if we take our parents-in-laws as our parents and treat them as such, hopefully they will return the favor. And remember that this is the person that cooks for your child, that takes care of your child. If you treat them badly and you're angry, they'll take it out on your son. And your son will have sleepless nights. So please, let's all do well. Thank you all so much for your comments. Thank you so much, Pastor. Thank you, Josephine. Thank you, Gifty, and thank you, Priscilla. And thank you to all our audience that sent their comments. I'm sorry I couldn't read all. There was one that was asking how they can share a problem with us, asking for a link. You just need to go to our Facebook page. You can send a direct message there if you want a story to be discussed, and we will do that. We have our numbers all over our social media pages. You can shoot us a WhatsApp message, and we will make sure we have the conversation. Thank you to the crew members for their amazing work. All of you do such great job. It takes a village to put this thing together. And we will be back same time next week with another interesting conversation. Thank you so much, my panelists, once again. Please do enjoy the rest of the content on Hope TV. My name is always Evie, and we'll be back same time next week. Have a good night.